What if I told you I believe many pro climbers and their coaches are actively cheating in today's comp scene? How do they do this? Through unclear rules about communication and isolation. During the 2024 Olympics, in the men's semi-final boulder, the Swiss climber Petra Klinger commentated the Olympics alongside Johnny Bryan. Petra Klinger was the guest expert, meaning someone, usually a climber, more knowledgeable about the athletes and climbing in general, while Johnny Bryan was the lead commentator. 20 minutes into the broadcast, Johnny asks Petra what the coaches can actually do while the climber is attempting a boulder. Petra says this in response.
What advice can they actually give?
It's really hard that in climbing, as you are in isolation before, also the coaches are in there with you. So they come out, they also see the boulder for the first time, but they're just allowed to cheer. They're not allowed to give you any advice or give you any idea of how to climb the boulder. But
There's a but.
There's a but. You can, as the coach is allowed to cheer, they can cheer you on harder if you're on the right way and not cheer if you're maybe on the wrong way. But as well, sometimes in boulder, it's like athletes find different solutions. So they find maybe a better break, so meaning that they can climb the boulder differently as the route setter thought it would be possible. So I've had this situation where my coach kind of gave me this signal, I'm trying the wrong idea. But for myself, I knew I can do it. And in the end, I did.
As you heard, Petra says that coaches are not allowed to talk or instruct the climbers, but that cheering is allowed and that the coaches can therefore cheer or cheer more if the correct beta is tried, and not cheer or cheer less if the wrong beta is tried. After that, she gives an anecdote where she explains a situation where a coach has given her a signal that she was doing the wrong beta. I disagree with both statements made here, especially the second statement, where it does sound like Petra and her coach have a previously agreed upon signal so that the coach can indirectly share information. To me, it also gives the implication that they're trying to hide what would be the instruction. So, what does the rulebook say about this? Firstly, the athletes are only supposed to attempt a route or boulder with information gathered during the observation stage or obtained during the attempts on stage. So, what is allowed on stage? Team members or coaches cannot distract or interfere with the athletes, and that doing so would result in disqualification. Naturally, the IFSC rulebook doesn't specifically mention cheering or what interfering could mean, but personally I think the implication is that encouragement is allowed, but that instruction is not allowed. I do believe if you take Petra's anecdote literally, her coach is interfering, giving information when they are not supposed to. I think you would have to have a very weird definition of interfering for this not to be considered cheating. Though she doesn't say what the signal is, I would say the exact same thing about them previously agreeing that saying alle twice, for example, means try a different beta, or whatever else signal they could make up. For me, the intent is important. This video is not made to target Petra, but to bring awareness, and also because I do think it is really interesting. It is clearly in the grey zone. Also, again, building on to my bigger point, I believe this is something that happens a lot. I mean, when Petra can openly say this on the Olympic broadcast without repercussions, this is likely something that happens a ton. So, could this issue be fixed? I think the answer is yes, but it would have major consequences for the sport. You could force coaches or team members to be silent, but then you would have the same problem for the other spectators or the crowd in general. This would lead you to have to silence the whole crowd. This would no doubt ruin climbing as a spectator sport. Just look at all the other silent sports such as golf, chess or tennis and how much less exciting those generally are. Imagine watching 3 hours of this. Also, from the athlete's point of view, the crowd builds hype. It can provide that extra bit of motivation. I've even heard climbers who say they only topped a boulder or route because of the crowd. If I were to suggest a fix or an improvement, it would be with the judges discerning between beta instructions and encouragement. Maybe make this more clear to the athletes, coaches and other stakeholders, but also the rulebook itself, as it actually doesn't specifically mention this and is pretty vague. What do you guys think? Does anybody else have an anecdote or seen a suspicious interaction between a coach and a climber? Finally, do you believe it is cheating? And if so, could it be prevented?